By Azonia with the reverse dunk.
None! Oh! For the all-time leading shot blocker on a poster.
That's going to outside Azonia's. I thought Azonia's was incredible, but Nunn one more time going at Tavares, fearless.
An unbelievable start to the show today with former Laker Kendrick Nunn. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Basketball Passport Pod. I am Leigh, joined as always by Lakers Lounge insider Anthony Owen. Anthony, how you doing, man?
You know, normally that like if you would have played me that clip about a month ago or so, or maybe a little before a month ago, that would have really hurt my feelings. Because that's Kendrick Nunn throwing down a dunk in ways that he was never able to with the Lakers. He had the worst knee bruise in the history of knees or bruises when he played for the Lakers, and he has been incredible. He's in Europe right now, right?
Yeah, Panathinaikos, yeah.
Yeah, he's been great there for them, but you can't touch me. The Lakers have won 8 straight, 12 in a row against teams above 500. Like you know, there's nothing in the world that could possibly actually no, there's a ton in the world going on that could derail me from my train of thought. But still, we are going to roll on.
What about another one here from Kendrick? Check this one.
Tonight with a good steal now.
He's going to shine on the fast break now. Kendrick Nunn checking multiple opponents into the Oakas Highlight Rail Hotel and going right up to the Club 1908 roof terrace.
Just an absolute banger there from Kendrick Nunn. He dunked on Eddie Tavares the first time, the 7'3" Costa Verden, and then it was on Serge Ibaka and Mario Hezonja for that second one there. So I think he's over that knee bruise anyway. I think he's starting to look good. But I mean, honestly, like those dunks, high quality, explosive, and the Lakers maybe could have him coming off the bench right now. Although you're right, I mean they're absolutely rolling. But just quickly, some housekeeping here. This is the Basketball Passport Pod. If you want to be a part of this, send us an email at basketballpassportpod@gmail.com. Anthony and I go twice a week live, Fridays around about 11 Eastern or so, and then Sunday nights around 8 o'clock Eastern. The Sunday night show is a bit of a more of an NBA recap. This one, we tend to have a bit of a look around the basketball world. Today, we will be talking about those Lakers, man, the hottest team in the league, greatest story. Even for Lakers haters right now, I think they've probably got to be enjoying this because it's not only good basketball, it's fun basketball. And I mean, it's just blowing up in Nico Harrison's face every day. Talking about blowing up in people's faces, LeBron and Stephen A got into it a little bit there last night. We'll talk about that. And another guy who's been in some of the best form of his career, Zion Williamson, we'll be also talking about him. You saw him as well against the Lakers earlier this week. And then later, I will be talking about my time in Ljubljana, Slovenia, while we're riding the Lakers and Luka right now. Had a great time there in Slovenia. But man, let's just get straight into it here. The Lakers just continue to roll. Last night's game, one of the best of the season by far. Great battle. I don't honestly know how the Lakers won that. I think it's one of those games that you're like, there's no way. Even when you watch it back, you're like, how did the Knicks not pull this off? Of course, went to overtime. They lose Jalen Brunson. Looks like he might be out for at some time here. That was a nasty one. It was Austin Reeves, I think he landed on. And one of those ones where the ankle really turns. Nothing malicious. No one did anything they shouldn't have been doing. It's just what happens. But Luka, man, and LeBron, let it out, man. Tell me everything you want to say about the Lakers right now. Second in the West, by the way.
How much time do you got?
Let it go, man, all day.
Here's the thing. All right, so I think you started it off perfectly when you say how you have no idea how they won that game last night. And I'm sure Knicks fans are sitting here like, how did what? And I think what it really comes down to is Luka and LeBron are two of the top floor raisers in the NBA. So even when the Lakers are playing really, really poorly by their new standard, they're going to keep you in the game. They're going to get you good shots. The Lakers are playing really good defense, which is another way that you can kind of keep your floor pretty high, right? Like I think that the higher variant teams where you see the biggest gap between ceiling and floor, they tend to struggle defensively. The Lakers have been really good defensively. So they just kind of like last night, I thought they really hung around. The game never got out of hand. I think the biggest lead that the Knicks ever got was like 13 points or something, which is well within striking range for, modern NBA basketball. That's like a 5-point lead in the 90s. And I think like as they entered the last 5 minutes of the game and the Lakers were within one, like a one possession game, I just thought these guys are going to execute. These guys they're going to get whatever shot they need to. The only bad shot I thought down the stretch was that LeBron sidestep 3 on the right wing when he had Cat guarding him. That was the only one that I was kind of like, no, come on. But outside of that, the Lakers play, I think right now with the highest floor in the NBA. And then because of what their offense can be, whenever they reach that, whenever they start clicking offensively, that's when you'll see them maybe have one of the higher ceilings too. So this team, Leigh, I'm my buddy Pete, who hosts the Laker Film Room pod, had a great phrase the other day where he was like, I'm either one glass of wine or 5 games away from calling Luka actually good defensively.
Yeah.
I would take it a few steps further and I'll say I'm another couple glasses of wine, or if this winning streak continues, if they beat the Celtics on Saturday tomorrow, I might say some truly reckless things about what this
yeah, I mean that's shaping up to be
like I'm watching this and I'm like, this is really fun basketball. This is the team of also a team that you grew up rooting for as well. So I guess we both are going to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah.
But you're more unbiased on this. What are you watching from these guys?
I think I spoke about it the other day. Like I thought it's a great move, but Luka's coming in sort of injured. It's going to take some time here. Honestly, right now, it looks like Luka's been a Laker for 5 years. He just seems automatically settled in, and there is really a great understanding between both Luka and LeBron of how to work to get each other's strengths. Like the amount of times I haven't got the stats here, but when you see, it feels like Luka's doing some sort of, drive into the paint and then he kicks it out and LeBron's just in the corner for a 3. It's like Luka is surrounded by LeBron as a shooter in some instances. But you saw that big 3 hit over Cat as well, where he started talking trash to him. But, there's something about Luka there who, I think the way the trade happened as well has made the Lakers, less villainous because they didn't initiate this. Luka didn't initiate this.
It wasn't like a year long, like the Lakers are kind of looking sideways and flirting from across the bar. Like it was just Nico lost his mind.
Well, and that's right. And that's why I think no one's saying, no one feels like, oh man, Luka orchestrated this trade to the Lakers and it left a really bad taste in everyone's mouth. Instead, it was like Luka was minding his own business, so was Anthony Davis, and then Nico just decided, I'm going to go completely out of my mind here and just hand the Lakers this generational talent. And Luka now is like, oh, I'm suited to LA. I mean, not everyone is, not everyone's suited to the Los Angeles or New York media attention, the landscape, the lifestyle. But Luka already has hit some gigantic shots. And again, the shooting itself isn't great in terms of percentages, but look at the ones that he does make and look at the ones that he takes. He's never afraid to take that big shot. He doesn't care what his percentages are. When they need a shot, he'll take it. And you see him go to work. He had that other sort of one where he spun into the lane as well. And I think that was also over Cat. So in those moments, that's what LeBron wants. That's what JJ Redick wants. That's what the Lakers want. It's like, this guy is not going to shirk away from the shot or the moment. He's got a proven track record already of hitting big shots. And now, again, I think LeBron, it's taken 5 years off his life, where in the credit
added to it.
Yeah, that's what I should have said. Yeah,
and he continued playing before Luka, it would have taken another 5 years off.
Well, that's
life.
right.
Yeah,
So I'm just really enjoying it because it's fun basketball. And you see even with that alley-oop late there with Jackson Hayes, like Luka, he'll find you. You just run to the rim. You know,
Yeah.
that's a thing that I think has actually shown with Nikola Jokic and Russell Westbrook this year. Westbrook, okay, if you're not sure what to do, run to the rim. Jokic will find you. You know, that's
Yeah.
what's made Aaron Gordon so good in Denver as well. And that's the sort of thing. Jackson Hayes, we know, not a great, you don't want to put your championship hopes on him as your number one big. He's athletic and he's talented, but I'm not sure he's able to emotionally, stand up to that role and mentally. But if he just understands, hey, if there's a double and the lane's open, Luka will get the ball to him. He'll throw it in the air and I'll catch it. So it's it's got to be for Lakers haters out there. I wonder if they are just saying, oh, well, yeah, it's pretty good basketball though. It's fun to watch. JJ's got him playing, competing, and again, I'm definitely of the opinion the league is much better when the Knicks and the Lakers are good, because right now I would love to see Thunder Lakers in the playoffs, whether it's a first round or not first round, but conference semis or conference finals. Yeah. That's what you want. And you want to see, like, okay, everything's going great, but the Thunder have been really good the last 2 years. They've got probably the MVP. They've got a great defense. They've got role players. Thunder Lakers right now would be just a mouth-watering conference finals, because Thunder would be they would have home court advantage. They would probably go in as favorite with the bookies, but it'd be very, very close. And again, that's what I think fans want to see.
I agree with everything there as far as like the Knicks and the Lakers being good. That game last night was electric. Actually Knicks fans filled Crypto Arena really well. Like when the Knicks were playing well, it was really loud, and Knicks fans had plenty to say about that. And then obviously when the Lakers kind of started coming back into it, then the home faithful were really loud, and it was a great setting there that really kind of jumped through the TV screen. And the other part that really kind of jumps through the TV screen is how happy Lakers fans are to have a late game killer like Luka again. Not say LeBron wasn't one. He's one of the clutchest players of all time. Literally named his agency Clutch. But the like Luka and the Lakers fan base, I think one of the big concerns on the other side of LeBron was I'd never thought that the Lakers would have the patience to draft and then develop and then enjoy their next superstar. So you wouldn't really have that Kobe connection where you watch somebody grow from 18 through to, when he finished playing. And Luka isn't that, obviously, right? He's 20, he just turned 26. So it's not, the Laker, he was in Dallas for the first 8 years or so of his career. But still, the Lakers fans are going to have this guy for the next decade. And there is real value there's like real value. Poor Nico. There's real value that comes with, having in watching somebody grow and mature and to trade for this guy at one of his lower moments. Did you watch the intro presser when he was when he was like sitting there, he's like slumped over, and he was so clearly blindsided by the trade. And I think, the city at that time was also kind of at a low point because of the fires that had just raged through there just before that. And I think, the fact that the Lakers have now been winning too, they had this homestand. It was 6 games. They won all 6 of them. Like the only couple losses that they had were the one heading into All-Star break and the one coming out of it. And it was just like
Utah and Charlotte,
those last 2 going into All-Star break, whatever it is. But like they were just, 2 just dumb losses or whatever. Other than that, they would be in the 20-40 or the 40-20 club. They would, those are the only blemishes, and they were somewhat explicable. Now it's like they play the Celtics tonight. I've had to completely recalibrate my expectations with this team. Like going into all of these games, I'm like, it used to be, man, that's a tough one. Oh, Cat's coming back. Okay. All right. Well, that, we'll see what that does for us. And the Celtics did this thing last night where they sat like their entire rotation in anticipation of Saturday's game against the Lakers. And it like doesn't bother me. I'm just like, yeah, all right, do whatever you have to do to feel like you have to line this one up. and give yourself a real chance against the Lakers. It's so much fun. It's just like it. It's also funny because the trade happened in transition from winter to spring, so like everything is kind of getting greener, like in my yard and stuff, and the sun is coming out. It's like warmer as well, and the Lakers are winning as well. It's just so funny how all this is playing out.
The Lakers are 20-4 in their last 24 games. The losses were against the Clippers, the Sixers, the Hornets, and the Jazz.
And the Jazz. Yeah.
Okay, so,
Clippers okay. The other one's like,
sure,
what the
I know.
hell?
Philadelphia, I think, was that? Oh, no, it was on the road. It was in Philadelphia. Okay, but even still, I mean, so things are going great. And Saturday night, Lakers at Boston. I mean, that is going to be huge. This is finally what the NBA and ABC have been hoping for, because so many of these games over the last few years feels like either one of the teams just stinks or one or two of the big players aren't playing. But this one should have, for the most part, I don't think the Celtics have got any significant injury concerns, certainly to Brown and Tatum. And, they'll be playing, everyone will be playing. This is shaping up to be a huge one. Now, there was a little something else that came out after that game there, actually. LeBron and Stephen A. Smith got into it a little bit on the sidelines. Now, Stephen A. has talked about it this morning. By the way, you know who Stephen A. Smith was sitting with at the game last night?
You could have given me any number of guesses before he said it. Like, I'm just picturing like LeBron comes over. By the way, streamers falling from the rafters.
Yeah,
the Lakers have won 8 in a row. They've beaten 500 teams or higher 12 times in a row. The Luka thing is he and LeBron are gelling absolutely perfectly. And yet I could just totally hear the Curb Your Enthusiasm music as LeBron is like walking over, and Larry David is like trying to like sink into his chair. Like, this is so awkward because it was just hilarious that like Stephen A. as part of his explanation for what happened last time. He was like, I was sitting next to my agent and Larry David. Yeah. I just feel like the music should have just bum bum bum
because he's so serious in his tone. Like, it was like he wanted to address it. It's like, I was there with my agents and Larry David,
bum bum bum.
Anyway, apparently LeBron took umbrage at some of the comments Stephen A. has made about Bronny Jr. And Stephen A. said that in that moment, LeBron wasn't a player. He was a father and a parent, and he was looking out for his son. And then Stephen A. said, Maverick Carter has my phone number. Rich Paul has my phone number. If LeBron wanted to talk about it, he could have told me. I would have flown out and seen him about that. A little extreme. But, that is the thing, is like, Stephen A. Smith, love him or hate him, he has some wild takes at times. He said some things about Bron, but he certainly didn't back down or, didn't sort of shy away from it. But LeBron, at the same time, as a father, now look, his son is in the NBA, so he's fair game for criticism, like any other player is. And LeBron Jr. has to earn his time and his minutes and everything like that. But I also sort of feel like LeBron is sort of right to say, to Stephen A. Smith, say it to me, come up here and say, don't get on the air and start blabbering and saying crazy things. I mean, there's no one, there's a bit of both there. There's a bit of like, hey, LeBron, if he's in the NBA, he's going to get criticized. He's going to get national coverage. But at the same time, maybe Stephen A. can find other targets as well, because as any other player, LeBron Jr. is not out there. He's not a huge talking point. He shouldn't be right now as well. So either way, it gave us some good content and some good stuff to talk about here this morning.
All right. So now it happened a little while ago, but Stephen A. Smith had a rant, his most recent rant about Bronny. He said, like, LeBron, as a father, cut this out, end this thing here, let this thing die on the vine, and I think once Stephen A starts citing fatherhood, that is when, because LeBron, say what you will about everything else, LeBron has been a great family man, right? Like there have not
Yes.
been any, illicit rumors about, him and other women. There have not been he has been there for his kids and supportive of his kids at every step along the way. Austin was, there's a really funny clip going around of like Austin asking LeBron what his day is like. And LeBron was like, yeah, I wake up super early so I could get my workout in. And then I go and I hang with my family for a few hours before I have to get right back onto my normal daily grind. And Austin's like, damn, that's a lot that you have to do. And it's, kind of cool that you would find time there to be a father.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that LeBron takes very, very seriously. And I think when Stephen A used that phrase, like, as a father, stop this, I think that's when I would imagine LeBron took real umbrage to it. And it also has to be tough, like I think there's some like the reality is that Bronny has struggled at the NBA level this year. Now he's playing really well with the G League. I think he's averaging at this point like 24. I think it's like 6-6 or 6-4 on the season down there playing with the South Bay Lakers. So he's filling the stat sheet there, and yet like when he comes up and he plays with the actual Lakers, the proper Lakers, he's only made 1 3 this year so far, and definitely looks lost at times. And the time that Stephen A went on this rant about it, like it was coming off of one of those tough nights for Bronny when he goes out there and I think the Lakers got their butts kicked and he had to play like a full quarter and it did not go well. He did not look like he belonged on an NBA court, but like most 55th picks don't look like they belong on an NBA court.
Certainly not at his age. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like I think, what you said is right, where there's truth in all of this, right? Like if by kind of forcing the Lakers' hand here a little bit and bringing Bronny into the NBA maybe like a year or so earlier than he was necessarily ready to play in the NBA, Bron does open up his son to some of this criticism. That said, once Stephen A crosses that line and talks about LeBron as a father, that's when he opens himself up to what happened after the game last night. And the other thing too is like, you're a dad, I'm a dad. I've had to literally go to the school because we have a bullying situation with Avery right now. And the notion that somebody is like making Avery like scared to go to school, that wakes up an animal in me that hasn't been awake since like I was in my 20s at a bar with a few too many drinks in me, so it's like I totally understand where LeBron would be like, all right, where is this guy, and so it's a lot of like it's this meeting place of a lot of different things, and I think last night was, I think, always kind of the natural end place. Not an end place because the story is going to continue, but I think it was always a natural kind of spot that they would hit along the way.
Yeah, he probably should have known, though, LeBron, that Stephen A is not going to, Stephen A said he didn't want to talk about it, but it went viral. Oh, my God, he definitely wanted to talk about it. He absolutely loved it.
Can you imagine how angry Skip Bayless is? Like, he's been punching the air for like 13 straight hours.
Yeah.
He's like, Steven gets the attention. Steven, like you get all of this and the $20 million ESPN contract.
Well, that's the thing with Stephen A. Like most of the time, stuff I hear, I sort of ignore, but he does get it right occasionally. Skip Bayless never does. He's just ranting lunatic, So we'll see. But again, Stephen A. doesn't exactly hate that sort of attention, and the chance to go and talk about it.
I was just so bummed. I was hoping this wouldn't go viral as he retweets the clip. I don't know if he retweeted it, but it was like, watching the clip, like, go viral. Someone's got to go viral.
We've got to get Larry David's perspective on what happened there.
I'm telling you, that's the best part of this whole thing. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So while we just quickly wrap up here, what happened in Los Angeles, I want to talk about Zion Williamson because he's having maybe the best little streak of his career since the All-Star game. he has been on a tear, 25 points a game, shooting 60% from the field, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. And you saw him in Los Angeles earlier this week. Man, he looks incredible. He's got the bounce. He's got that spring and the speed. He's got great handles. It's been a disastrous career. Let's be honest. From the expectations we had, it's been a completely disastrous career to this point. The injuries, the weight gain, the attitude, it seems as well, has been missing at times. But these last few games, if he sort of matured and got to this point where he realizes, like, okay, time is starting to tick here a little bit, he still could really become a dominant player in the league. Because, like I say, the way he's moving and the way he's jumping and the way that he looks sort of locked in right now, it's so awesome to see. I just hope he can actually sustain it. I mean, the Pelicans, it's been a disastrous season. They won't make the play-in, but maybe there is some light here at the end of the tunnel, because I thought he looked awesome in Los Angeles.
I'm telling you, the Lakers defense has been incredible, basically, leading up to the Luka trade and then after the Luka trade. They were on a streak, and I think even despite the overtime last night, they came, let's see, what did the Knicks finish with last night? They finished with, so 109. But the Lakers, before that New Orleans game, were on a streak of holding however many teams to under 102 points or under. And the Pelicans blew right through it. And I think, the biggest reason for it, because basically everybody else struggled in that one, the biggest reason for it was Zion Williamson, who went, he scored 37 points, only needed I think less than or around 20 shots to get there. He was driving into the paint, and the Lakers to this point have been able to swarm teams with their physicality and athleticism and really kind of suffocate teams from the outside in and then really wall off the paint. They had no chance against Zion. He was just driving into the paint. Didn't matter who was standing in front of him. They weren't standing in front of him for very long. And he's one of those guys, like, watch other NBA players who are 99.99999th percentile athletes on the face of the planet, and watch their reaction when Zion bumps into them. Where it's after they get hit, they just go like, whoa, that was a freight train. And I guess he is down lower than he has been basically since his rookie season as far as weight goes. He is really starting to take that seriously. And I hope he continues with it, before. And look, like, if he does continue on that path and he does live a healthier life and he is healthier from this point forward as a basketball player, I think you got to give some credit to the New Orleans Pelicans for not giving up on him. Say, I don't know, a different GM in the NBA when he had some concerns about the life habits of a player.
Well, that's right. The Pelicans may reap the benefits here. I wouldn't be surprised if they had dangled him and even...
Oh, for sure. Nobody wanted him.
No, because you sort of had to pay him the big contract, but you're like, I don't know what we're going to get out of him. But now it may have turned full circle where it's like, right, we've got a guy here. Because, a guy like him, for me, it's somewhat like Blake Griffin. Like, you want to understand that athleticism and that ability to sort of jump when you're young and be so springy, it won't be there forever. So you have to have more to your game. You have to be able to do things. You have to be able to have a mid-ranger. You have to be able to post up guys and score. A bit like Zach Randolph. Remember his late Zach Randolph? He'd just get into the paint there and couldn't jump all that high, but he just knew how to score. That's what you sort of need to be able to fall back on. But Zion, 23 shots, 17 for 23 against the Lakers. It came in a loss. I mean, but right now it's not even about the wins or losses for the Pels. It's like, can he stay on the floor? Can he be consistent? What's his attitude? And there was one play, he was on a fast break. LeBron tried to step in and take a block, and he just kind of jumped around him. I think he got an and one on that play. And that's the sort of, that play itself is like, that's what shows you how tough he would be to defend, because he can handle the ball. And he can get into the paint, and he is tough. And also what you mentioned as well, I remember it must have been probably 2 seasons ago now, there was a time where Steven Adams, who's I consider one of the other toughest guys in the league.
Aquaman.
Yeah, he grabbed a rebound and Zion basically just grabbed it out of it, ripped it out of his hands. And that was like, my God, if he's doing that to Steven Adams, what's he doing with other mere mortals out there? So really, really, enjoyable to see him playing like this. Again, the Pels, another rough season, but maybe he has also got to that point where he realizes, because he looks like he's in better shape. He looks like he's trimmed down. He's always going to have that sort of bulky physique anyway, but he doesn't look sort of flabby right now. He looks like he's been really working out and trying to maximize his power and his strength while keeping his speed, his agility, and his ability to get up high. Now, I mean, that dunk he threw down, was it on Jackson Hayes?
No, Jameson. Yeah.
Jameson. Yeah. My God. I mean, that just
it's a good one when the other team reacts to it.
Yes.
And they're like, "Oh,
yeah.
Are you okay?"
And that's the guy we thought we were getting out of Duke like 5 years ago. Just he was going to do that to the league for years, and it's taken a while, but he's got there. So fun stuff to watch there.
It was also nice in that one. He shot free throws at some point. I don't know if it was against the Lakers or in a different game that I was watching, but like he shot free. He got to the free throw line, and it was like late-ish like midway through the first quarter. And I remember like a season ago, if he got to the free throw line and he would just be dripping sweat.
Oh yeah.
Right. Like he would step to it would be like the second possession of the game, and he would just be like,
yeah,
all right, give me the ball, and like he was standing there at the free throw line and he looked fresh as a daisy. And I'm like, all right, he's kind of figuring it out. And look, like this is the tough part, especially now as we head into this new uncharted territory where some of these guys are going to be they're going to be billionaires off of just their basketball earnings. And so like it's tough for some of these organizations to look at these immature at times, early 20s, maybe even not even 20-year-old athletes that are coming in, and they are the face of your franchise. Your career, your entire franchise, the entire city is riding on this transcendent player figuring it out. And then when you watch a player not necessarily take it as seriously as they need to, as they are playing against other players who are just as talented and do take it seriously, it's got to be maddening to watch that. And like it's even tougher when it's somebody like Zion, who when he is healthy, he is always, it's never been a question of productivity when he's out on the court. It's getting him out onto the court.
Yeah, and keeping him out there.
Yeah, and keeping him there.
Yeah.
So I think hopefully here, and I know we've been saying this here for basically his entire career to this point, but I do hope he's turned a corner and is taking it more seriously, and we get to see more of him because he is such a fun player when he has it going.
Yeah, I mean, the most games he played, 23-24 season, was 70. 22 points a game, only 5 or 6 rebounds. Give him 6 rebounds there, 57%. So he is gonna, he's gonna have a pretty high percentage when he does play. But again, it's about that consistency, and it's about that commitment and dedication to keeping his body right, because he doesn't have a huge margin for error. He's not one of those lean guys that can, withstand a little bit of weight. When he puts on weight, it can really affect him. You can see, that hamstring injury he had that kept him out for 8 weeks this year. I think that's a result of, his own body sort of working against him in that sense. So he needs to take it serious. But he's fun to watch, man, when he's out there, like, because he's exciting. He drives inside, and you're like, yeah, man, you don't want to try to take a charge from that dude. So hopefully. Hopefully this is the start of something there with Zion. Just quickly wanted to touch on one thing here. I didn't even really want to put it in, but I thought it's relevant and topical right now. Draymond Green on his podcast with Baron Davis had some pretty dumb comments about Karl-Anthony Towns, saying that he didn't want to play against the Warriors in New York earlier this week because of Jimmy. He was like, I don't want to play against Jimmy. Absolutely, mind-numbingly stupid thing to say when you know the actual reason why Karl-Anthony Towns didn't play that game. And the reason was because his girlfriend, Jordan Woods, she was mourning a friend's death from breast cancer, and he wanted to be a good boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's, Draymond, when he gets on his mic and even when he gets on the court, he's got those who he hates, like Rudy Gobert, and any chance he gets to just jump on and pound into those guys, he does that. And this one was one of the dumbest things he said. He was asked about it after the game as well, and he said, I heard. That's just insulting and disrespectful and rude. And I think this is just something that Draymond needs to come out and apologize for. Will he?
Yeah.
I doubt it, but I think he really has to own this one and apologize to Kat, because it's incredibly insensitive and rude.
Yeah. Well, on top of it, Draymond, when he started a podcast and started doing more media stuff, his whole thing was new media, hashtag new media. And the more that he does it, the more and more he sounds like old media. Like the more he just sounds like, and I think it's actually worse, Leigh. I've thought about this. We talked about it on the show last night because the Lakers played the Knicks and Kat made his return to the court. By the way, hope everything is like, Kat has had such a tough few years here where COVID impacted him in the way that it caught, he lost his mom to COVID.
Mm-hmm.
He actually got really sick, I believe, also from COVID. And then they have the really good year that they had in Minnesota. He's thinking like, all right, I'm going to be here forever. They trade him to the Knicks, and now he has to uproot that. And now he's playing for the Knicks, and he has played really well this year for them. He's been a big key part of their season to this point. And then, right around another corner, you have this happen to somebody who is a close family friend. To him and his girlfriend. He and Jordan Woods have been together for a long time. That their lives, I think, have kind of melded. And if she has a close friend, she is that close friend is going to be one to Kat too. So it's like my larger point here though is I think it's actually worse for Draymond Green to dip back into the old media waters than it would be if Stephen A. Smith or Skip Bayless or one of these other the kinds of media voices that these guys really, really hate. I think what Draymond is doing is actually worse than those podcasts or those platforms, because he knows what it's like to feel bullied by those voices. He knows what it's like to feel like, somebody has a grudge against him and is making unfair points about either the way that he's playing or what's going into playing and all that stuff. He's been there. He's felt that animosity. He, I'm sure, hates all of everybody speculating that he was the reason that Kevin Durant left the Golden State Warriors when he did. And I'm sure that probably eats at him a little bit. And if people get on their mics and just keep on hammering home, well, yeah, KD left because he was sick of Draymond. KD left because he was sick of Draymond. KD left. He punched Jordan Poole and derailed that entire franchise, and that he's the reason that they didn't win the championship in the year that they won 73 wins, because he got suspended for too many technicals and flagrant fouls. And like if you and I'm sure he would hate it if people took pot shot after pot shot after pot shot after pot shot as he's at explaining that no, there's more context to these situations than meets the eye. For him to have felt that ire and then turn around and be just as bad, if not worse, to somebody like Kat in this spot, that I think that to me, and he doesn't care about my opinion. Nobody really should, but to me, it makes him way worse, honestly, than the platforms that nobody likes but are entertaining because people like hearing people say outlandish things about millionaires.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Draymond is he's trying to sort of be Stephen A. He's trying to be Charles Barkley as well. But I can see him definitely becoming one of those guys when his career is done. I think he said recently he thinks the Warriors from 2015 to 2019 was the best basketball ever.
Yeah.
And it's like, come on, man, let's not get too full of ourselves here. I mean, and again, he was a very important part of those championships that the Warriors won. Absolutely. But, let's not overdo it here of what really happened there with KD and Steph and Clay and the other factors here that were more significant than Draymond. But yeah, silly stuff. I'm not sure if he'll apologize. I would like to see him actually man up and apologize to Cat, because that's pretty nasty stuff to say about a guy who's doing the thing that should be the highest priority in anybody's life. As a father and a husband, family should always be there. And for your girlfriend who's lost a friend, for you to say, listen, this is a game of basketball. I play every other night, so I can sit this one out because I'll be there for you. That's an incredibly honourable thing to do, and just great respect I have for Cat to be there for his partner, and I think that's really important. So good on you, Cat. Yep. Okay, so moving on here now to the destination, which is Ljubljana in Slovenia, which was supposed to be the first stop on my original destination, original trip when I went out playing basketball around the world. Really wanted to go to the Balkan regions because there's been so many great players from there, Stojakovic and Divac and Petrovic and of course Jokic and Doncic and Bogdanovic right now. Now, I did actually get to Ljubljana, but I went via Frankfurt first because I had a flight connection that I didn't make out of Frankfurt to get to Ljubljana, so I had a day there in Frankfurt. Anyway, I got to Ljubljana, man, because it's one of those cities that I hadn't known anybody who'd ever been there, It's not difficult to get to, but it is really, really pretty. And because this was the first place I was going to play basketball, I put such a huge effort into organizing, okay, we're going to play on this Friday night. I thought, Friday after work, a little bit easier for people to get to. The weather should have been okay. Picked out the Luka Doncic court that was recently renovated only a couple of years ago. Organised with my friend Luka Stuchin out there, who got organised about 20 to 25 guys to come out and play. I was like, great. I arrived on the Wednesday night, woke up Thursday morning, went to the court to check it out. And then I looked at the weather app, and the weather app said today about a 15% chance of showers late in the afternoon, but for tomorrow when I had the game scheduled, 100% chance of rain. 100% chance. And when the weather app just has the rain and it's like, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, so, your phone actually starts leaking water.
Oh yeah. And I'm like, what a disaster. I was supposed to, this is supposed to be the first city, it's the second city. And now, there's no way around. I don't want to play indoors, I want to play on this court. So I called my friend Luka and I said, and this is on the Thursday at about lunchtime, I said, listen, is there any chance you can just put a call out to your friends and say, come out today because tomorrow just won't happen. It can't happen. It's going to rain. And I'm thinking if we get 5 guys show up, this will. Yeah, exactly. I thought that'd be great. Well, got a great response. Got a really good response. Pretty much all the guys who were supposed to come out Friday managed to come out there on the Thursday and play. And we had a great time. I mean, the Slovenians know how to ball, man. Their street ball.
I know. I'm a fan.
You know what is crazy though about this? So we, when I was there, I said, all right, let's go 5-on-5. Just assume that because we had the numbers, we'd play 5-on-5 full court. Nobody plays 5-on-5 full court out there. It doesn't matter how many guys you got. It's all 3-on-3, that Euro style ball. And so I'm like, well, let's play what you guys play. And I said, no, it's fine. We'll play 5-on-5. So we started playing. And again, you know what it's like in pickup. 5-on-5, not a lot of defense gets played. A lot of guys are just kind of standing around thinking I can afford to cruise here. I got burned on the first 2 plays. I'm just like, guys are just cutting off. I'm just standing around what is going on? That ball is moving around. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, this is incredible. But the reason it is like that is because they learn to pass by playing so much 3-on-3 that if you're caught napping, they're cutting and the other guy's finding. So when you see guys like Doncic with his passing ability and his IQ and his brain, it's not just what he's doing right now. He's been doing this ever since he was a kid. because that's how he was taught to play. That's how he learned to play. And that's how other guys played against him. So when you see sometimes, and again, I know I talked about a little bit there, sometimes it looks like he's caught and there's a double team, and then he jumps up and he just throws the ball knowing exactly where LeBron is or whoever. It's because ever since he was a kid, he was playing that way. And I think it's just so important that you can learn the game by playing not necessarily 5-on-5, but by playing high quality 3-on-3 and understanding how to cut, how to move, how to be ready for the ball, because you learn how to pass that way. You learn how to get to your positions. And it's really remarkable when you see now the way he passes and the way Jokic passes, that these guys aren't just doing it because they've got some sort of instinct for playing basketball like that. It's how they've learned the game.
Yeah, I think soccer also, like soccer being such a it's such a bigger part of European sports too, that there's so, like in soccer, if you ever watch a soccer match, it used to drive my dad insane, because I grew up, I started playing soccer when I was like 5 years old. My mom's Mexican. It was like I have to. It was a birth. It was not a matter of if, it was a matter of when and how often. And so like my dad, when he would start watching soccer, he would say like, actually, like, at first it would kind of drive him nuts, but then eventually he kind of figured out what was going on. A lot of times in soccer, you pass to space, and that gets players to move to that space, and you put yourself ahead of the defense by passing to space rather than passing to players. And I watch Luka sometimes, and a lot of the passes he makes are passes to space. They and a lot of times, like, it's a lot of nonverbal communication of like, get over here, and he makes that pass, and he kind of passes guys open. And Jokic is like this too. Sabonis back in the day, and current Sabonis is like this as well. Like it's a very, and Kobe would talk about, the impact that soccer had on him growing up in Europe, the way that he did. So that's one of my favorite things. And it was funny. Marc Gasol was a Laker. People kind of, forget that Marc was a Laker there briefly. When he first came to the Lakers and was healthy, he got COVID and kind of derailed his season, and the Lakers season too, frankly. But there was a play where he was at the high post, and the basket was wide open, and all LeBron needed to do was just kind of give his guy a little bit of a shove, and then he would have been wide open under the basket. Well, Marc throws this pass, and it goes out of bounds, and LeBron had like a moment where he like kind of locks eyes with Marc and goes like, "Oh, you're ahead of me on this."
Yeah.
Oh, this is fun. And like we're seeing it now with those home run passes that Luka is throwing to LeBron now, where he's thrown a couple of them, and you'll see it when Luka is getting a rebound or when he's getting an outlet, he is looking immediately up the court to see if this is one of those plays where he'll be able to throw one of those passes. And all of them, that play by nature has to go. That pass has to go to space. The player has to run onto that pass. It's such a fun part of the way that international players, and specifically I think European players, play basketball.
Well, that's right, and the way that they pass it is they force you to run to the ball.
Yeah,
that's also
and
what
if you don't make that cut, if you don't float to where you should be, that's on you. Like, you had an open shot if you just moved to where I passed the ball.
Yeah, because that Luka to LeBron outlet, a couple of times, it's not like a looping ball. It's a direct pass that Luka knows, I'll pass it here, you go get it. Again, this is what I was talking about earlier. It's like these guys feel like they've been playing together for, well over a couple of seasons right now, not just 12, 15 games or whatever it's been. But again, that sort of, and this also I think comes back to the Balkan style where Luka racks up all these assists, but it never feels to me like he's ever stat stuffing. Like Rondo in his day used to just like try to stuff the bag with assists. The old like dribble
wide open layups.
Exactly, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But Luka doesn't do that, but he gets them because he reads the defense so well. And again, he knows if a double's coming, it's like, great, I'll pass. I don't really care. I can hit the shot. But I want to just make the best play possible, and that's why Jokic is out there just running around picking up triple doubles, in his sleep, because he gets the ball and he pushes it and he's like, just run, and again, if you cut, that's the best way for you to get high percentage baskets, because he'll pass the ball into you, whether it's a bounce pass or a looping pass, whatever it is. Marc Gasol's a great example as well of a guy who very similar to that Balkan style, not a great athlete, never in super great shape, but knew how to make the right pass at the right time. I mean, he was huge for the Raptors when they won the championship. He was huge on those Grizzlies teams that went, often deep into the playoffs. And by the time he got to Los Angeles, he was at the sort of wrong side of his career. But very, very similar instincts and ability to play the game. And, coming back to my first Balkan experience, it was, eye-opening, head on a swivel, like exhausted, just chasing shadows, But
you as a defender, you have to see the space, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
you have to. It's not like a lot of times, like the key fundamental when you're growing up and you're coaching kids in basketball is like, all right, see man and ball, right? That's what always put yourself in a place on the court where you can see the ball and the man.
Yeah.
But when you're playing against players who think like soccer players, you have to see man, ball, and space. You have to see where the open space is. And that's honestly the way that Luka and Jokic have become good defenders, is they see open space on places that offenses need to go through to run at the level that they need to. And they just go and they stand in the space. They go and they gum up these offenses on defense, and they stand in that space and they plug it up. And they know that. They know to do that because of the way that their brain operates on the other side of the court. It's been so much fun watching the game become more international. And that's why, like, I get so frustrated over the way that it gets talked about, because this is the kind of stuff that like should be explained on a nightly basis. That's why I love Legler. I love Lowe when he was talking on ESPN and stuff like that. And they've moved completely away from explaining the game. And this is frankly like why we do this, why we started doing this podcast.
Yeah, well, and that's it. That's the context that I hope to bring and I try to bring is, it's not a coincidence that, again, when you think back to Vlade and Sabonis, as you mentioned, like these guys making these just really deft, soft, bounce passes that right on the money. It's not just like, oh, it's a coincidence. It's like they're taught that way, they play that way, and the unselfishness is a part of the game. Like it really feels, and again, this is never a shot at the American system or anything like that, but it feels like the American system, like you're the star player, you go and get 30 points. Okay, that's your role. Whereas the Balkan way is more like, who's going to make the highest percentage basket? Whoever that guy is, you cut inside. If your defender's being sloppy or lazy, expose them, and exploit them by carving them up inside. So it was a really, really eye-opening experience for me there in Ljubljana. And then I noticed that so much more as well in Belgrade, in Serbia there, and in Croatia too, where it's like, man, these guys, like, the way they beat you, the way they embarrass you almost is like, if you're not paying attention on defense, I'm just going to run to the hoop and my guy's going to find me and score. And it's not about like always hitting these, step backs and, hitting the sort of and one type of street ball stuff. Instead, it's more just like a meticulous, disciplined way of showing you up if you're not paying attention on the defensive end. And it was a really, really fun experience there in Ljubljana. And again, only came about, I was like, well, look, if I'm going to play outdoor basketball, I understand the elements sometimes might go against me. If it's pouring with rain, it's pouring with rain. Yeah. The first one, I'm like, oh my God, like, come on, give me that. Give me at least day one. And then, like I say, I was desperately calling my friend Luka saying, is there any chance you can just get anyone to come out? Because I just don't think we'll be able to play tomorrow. And he was like, man, it's a Thursday. You asked me, in 3 hours if people could come out and play. I'm like, yeah, whatever you can do, man, it'll be fine. So we got there, and then we played for probably about an hour or so, and then spent 5 hours in the pub, and it was
my kind of night.
There's a pub right next to the Luka Doncic courts. I mean, Nico Harrison must absolutely loathe.
Yeah, right. That's what.
Oh man. So yeah.
There's a hookah stand and a
Yeah.
pub right by the court, and like, oh, I wonder.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah,
wonder where
yeah.
Luka picked up these habits from.
Yeah. Well, that will about do it for this episode of Basketball Passport. Thank you to everyone who has joined us and chimed in there. Victor's sent us a few comments and stuff there. Now, again, if you have a question or a comment, basketballpassportpod@gmail.com, and we will try to get to those as they come through. None pending right now, so we won't be getting to any at the moment, but we will be back on Sunday night around 8 p.m. Eastern, probably to talk about the Lakers and Celtics, although you've probably done 2 or 3 other pods already by that point on that game, but we'll probably slip it in and some other information. But anything else for the viewers and listeners out there?
I don't know. I got to figure out how I'm going to come back and touch the ground here.
Right.
I've been floating for a few hours, and I'm a little nervous about, like, my kids just think like, hey, Daddy, you ever coming back down? I'm like,
Yeah,
no,
I know.
it's hard to tell.
Well, they've got a long road trip on. They're going on right now, so they're numbers wise, they're probably going to drop 1 or 2 of those. Because they've also, they're almost locked into second seed now in the West as well. I don't think they'll catch the Thunder, and I don't think they're going to drop down, especially with the Grizzlies struggling at the moment. The Nuggets are playing well, but looks like the Lakers they're going to be nice and primed.
I need the Nuggets to fall to 4th. I do not need them on the same side of the bracket. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
although,
yeah.
In terms of interest, like the league would love to see that matchup or whatever. But in terms of like my own sanity and safety, like, just lose a couple more, Denver.
Yeah.
Lose a couple more. Houston win a couple more, and OKC, please take care of business against the Nuggets in the second round.
Well, they got 2 against the Nuggets actually on, I think, Monday. I think it is in OKC. So that might be good for you. Anyway, we will see you guys Sunday night.